Hello and welcome back to the course on deep learning. Today we're just going to quickly cover off the variations of long short-term memory architectures. I think it's important so that you're at least aware that there are other alternatives to the LSTM version that we looked at and that you might encounter them sometime in your work. So here is the standard LSTM which we discussed. It should be you should be pretty comfortable with it by now. And now let's have a look at a couple of variations. So variation number one is when you add peepholes. So I'm just going to go back again. So you see these lines are added connecting these sigmoid activation functions or these neural network layer operations. Additional input is being provided. It's the information about the current state of the memory cell. And that basically allows kind of like that's why it's called peephole, allows these decisions about the valves to be made with taking into account what is actually sitting there in the memory. Modification number two is when you take these two valves, the forget valve and the memory valve, and you connect them. So let's go back. Instead of having a separate decision for the memory valve, now you have a combined decision for the forget valve and the memory valve. And basically whenever you add something into the memory, so whenever you close the memory off, whenever this is 0, this becomes the opposite. 1 minus 0 becomes a 1, so you have to put something in. If you make this a 1 or close to 1, this becomes a 0, and therefore you don't put anything in. Here you just keep the old memory. So it just makes sense to combine them sometimes. And then another modification, a very popular modification called the gated recurring units, GRUs for short. What they do is they completely get rid of the C pipeline, as you can see, the memory pipeline, and they replace it with the H, which is the hidden pipeline, which we had before at the bottom. They just combine basically the two. So now instead of having two separate values, one for the memory and one for the hidden state, now you have one, and it simplifies things. So it's probably a bit less flexible, but in terms of how many things are being controlled and monitored, there's actually less, and that's it. And this is how the gated recurring unit works. As you can see, it might look a bit more convoluted, but in reality, it's a bit simpler. You only have, this valve. Then you have another valve here, but these two are kind of like connected as well. So this is in essence the gated recurring unit. The concept behind it is to get rid of the memory cell and just have this one pipeline going through there that takes care of everything. So there we go. That's the 3 LSTM variations. There's lots more other ones. A good paper to check out is called LSTM, A Search Space Odyssey by Klaus Greff and others, 2015. So there they compared quite a few different LSTMs. You might like this research that they did. So there we go. That's a short intro into the alternative architectures of the LSTM. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, enjoy deep learning.